Hello everyone, Under here, and here we are at the end of an era. This is the last major update to Sid Meier's Civilization VI. There might be some minor patches every now and again, but next thing we're probably going to be discussing might be Civ VII. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. I think they'll give us about a year to play around with this update. It is huge, so this might be a bit of a long video compared to all the others. What I'm going to be doing in this video is talking through the changes. I'll be reading them as they are in the patch notes. There's some new units, there's some major reworks to civilizations, and some minor stuff and bug fixes as well. So yeah, as usual in all my videos, you guys should know this by now, it is going to be multiplayer focused, primarily discussing things related to the Better Balanced Game mod, which is going to make this video a little bit tricky because obviously things are going to change with the BBGs, things are going to get removed, buffed, nerfed, everything. So I'm going to be discussing things as the patch intends, and I'll like talk about whether I think that should stay, whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, and yeah, that sort of thing. Anyway, if you like the video, make sure you like it. If you don't, dislike it. Come watch me on Twitch, subscribe on my YouTube, and let's jump into it. Okay, so new features. We've got a new unit here, Trebuchet, a medieval era catapult upgrade. Siege promotion class upgrades into Bombard. Cannot move attack on the same term unless they've earned the expert crew promotion. And the Domri replaces this unit. And if we take a look at the unit comparison, they do go up in the same sort of increments between melee strength, bombard strength, and production costs. So they go from 25 to 35, which is the new unit, to 45, which is the bombard, which it upgrades into. The production goes up at 80 a turn. It doesn't, 80 an upgrade, and it doesn't need any strategic resources. The Domri replacement gives it extra melee strength, which makes it a little bit tankier. It's got +5 more bombard strength as well, which is very handy, and it can move and shoot. Don't think that really affects a Domre push or how powerful the Domre is really. I suppose it kind of nerfs it a little bit because obviously the nearest thing to a Domre before this update would have been the catapult, so that probably is a slight nerf to the Domre itself. But yeah, nothing sort of major there. Looking at the tech tree itself, there's a sort of even amount of space also between the three units, starting at the catapult here, the trebuchet / Domre here, into the bombard there. So what would this change adding this new unit here to military engineering? I think it's going to sort of revitalize the medieval push really, because obviously with the previous change to stirrups needing apprenticeship, which was added a while back, that kind of killed off any knight crossbow push, and with simming being so strong at the moment, this might be a nice little addition to make medieval war useful. Obviously they can be effective with a general as well, which is nice. If you do miss on a classic medieval general, you've got the sort of medieval / Renaissance generals to be able to fall back on. They're also next to corsairs and crossbows, so you can have like a nice little death ball push as well, or even knights if you really want to. So yeah, I'm hoping that we see some more medieval pushes, because crossbows really aren't, well, they're a very good unit, but people just prefer to go sim at the moment, so sort of apprenticeship, and then wait for sort of cuirassier / bombard push. But yeah, these might make a sort of corsair crossbow trebuchet push really nice. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that, and I think this is a good addition overall. Okay, next up we've got the Man-at-Arms, a medieval era swordsman upgrade, melee promotion class, and upgrades into muskets. Unique units that upgrade into this are legions, Nagaos, the Macedonian swordsman, Hippaspis, I think it's pronounced, the Persian immortal, the Maori's tower, and Gaul's other hard to pronounce unit. And replacements for this unit are the Norwegian Berserker, the Japanese Samurai, and the Georgian Keshver. So if you have a look at these side by side with the new unit, the man-at-arms being in the middle, they sort of follow the same upgrade path as what we spoke about earlier with the trebuchets. They all go up in the same amount of strength each time, and production costs being 70. They do need iron, so they do need to strategic. So you have to bear that in mind when you do go up to swordsman, that you are going to need quite a lot of iron here if you want to do a man-at-arms push, because normally, well, before this update, sorry, if you did do a sword push, you've got enough time to sort of build more because of waiting till muskets. You're going to just need niter for those, but to be able to sort of wait and do another push with these man-at-arms, you are going to have more iron left over to upgrade into these. They're a medieval unit, so two sort of eras of generals will work on this. The first lot, which is the classic and medieval generals, and then the medieval / Renaissance ones. So the main issue for me with this man-at-arms, this new unit, is where it is in the tech tree, and it's at apprenticeship, which obviously a lot of, like, if you're simming up, you're gonna be going for this either for industrial zones or for that extra production on mines. And the vulnerability to that is that you're not going to have crossbows or knights to defend. The most you're going to have to defend yourself with is archers and swords. So I don't like where this is in the tech tree, because it just adds no counterplay really to sort of beeline an apprenticeship. There's no risk in it. Where would I move it to? I don't know about military tactics, because it's a kind of dead end tech, and obviously pikemen are there, and they're just like a totally different unit really. Education might be slightly better, but again, this is a sort of semi-tack because of universities. Stirrups has already got the knight. Machinery has already got the crossbows. So yeah, maybe I'd either, I don't want to say completely remove the unit, but it does need moving to somewhere at least, and I'm thinking maybe education is best. Buttress could be another idea, but again, that just gives the sort of naval civs that are going heavy top tree something to defend themselves with. Again, no vulnerability. You can't really put it anywhere earlier on in the tech tree. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how BBG deals with this unit, because I do think it is in totally the wrong place at the moment. And now let's look at the unique unit replacements for this new unit. Okay, so we've got a couple of upgrades here for the man-at-arms, starting with the Georgian Keshver. I don't know how to pronounce half these words, guys, and I'm going to get moaned about it in the comments probably. So, Georgian unique medieval unit replaces man-at-arms, +7 combat strength when fighting on hills terrain, and no movement penalty in hills. And it's got +3 melee strength over the man-at-arms, and it's 10 less iron. It does upgrade at military tactics, so does unlock at military tactics, sorry. Now, in the better balanced game, the Keshver was moved to a sword replacement. So whether we see that change re-added, and obviously the stats of the unit nerfed or changed or not, we'll have to wait and see. I do think it should stay a man-at-arms replacement though. Like I said about the trebuchets, more medieval pushes would be nice. The +7 is a bit too much. That could be probably nerfed to around +3 or +4. The no movement in hill terrain is nice, and yeah, like I said, it's just military tactics. It's not a great place for it. Moving on to the Japanese Samurai, which unlocks at feudalism, so that is a civic. Japanese unique medieval era unit that replaces the man-at-arms, does not suffer combat penalties when damaged, and again it's +3 and combat strength over the man-at-arms, and it costs 10 less iron. So this samurai push can be very, very strong, obviously paired with the cheaper encampment cost and cheaper theatre squares, so you do get feudalism at a nicely timed push. Whether this is going to be a sort of, adding this man-at-arms unit is going to be a sort of indirect nerf to the samurai unit or not, we'll have to wait and see, because obviously the samurai timing is powerful because it's it's a good stage where the enemy doesn't really have crossbows or muskets to defend themselves with. So yeah, I think again we'll have to sort of give that chance and time to see what happens. But maybe the man at arms will be able to defend against this, especially when it's paired with like a general and Victor, for example. And the final replacement for it is the Norwegian Berserker. This also unlocks at feudalism. Norwegian unique medieval era unit that replaces man at arms. +4 movement if this starts in enemy terrain. Wow. +10 combat strength when attacking and -5 combat strength when defending against melee attacks. This was nerfed in the mod. I can't remember exactly how. I think the movement was slightly nerfed and the strength when attacking was slightly nerfed as well. But they aren't really used much to be honest. The berserkers, just really because of the minus combat strength, it's too risky. But again, it is a feudalism tech, so sorry, civic. So a Norway that's gone choral music, for example, might be able to do a good timing with this. But like I said, the man at arms might be able to defend it. We'll have to see. Overall, the man at arms, I'm not a huge fan, mainly because of where it is in the tech tree. I think going apprenticeship should be a risk. You leave yourself vulnerable. Multiplayer is all about knowing what your opponents have and haven't got, and sort of taking advantage of that, and that just putting the man at arms at apprenticeship kind of does take away all that risks. So I'm hoping to see some BBG changes on that one. Moving on, we've got our last new unit here, which is the line infantry industrial era musket upgrade melee promotion class. Upgrades into infantry. Unique units that will upgrade into this are the Spanish Conquistador and the Ottoman Janissary, and units replacing this are the French Garde Imperiale and the English Redcoat. Okay, so if we look at them side by side again, the musket into the line infantry into the infantry, it's the same story. They go up in strength by the same amount each time, +10. The production is obviously a good in between, and the line infantry does require niter. So yeah, not much really to talk about there. Looking at where they are in the tech tree, military science, I don't think it changes much, to be honest. You do need military science to sort of go for tanks, for example. It doesn't. They're not like at industrialization, so they're not going to be an issue like we discussed with the man at arms. Again, they're at the same sort of distance, 2 techs away from their upgrade and previous unit counterparts. The infantry being over here. But are these going to get used? I don't think so, because the cuirassier and the field cannon tack together, you want to go for that really, because it unlocks 2 units at a time. Heavy cavalry are often better anyway. I'd say the only reason you probably go for these instead is if you don't have any iron for cuirassiers, but with the amount of cities you should have at that stage of the game, I should imagine you're going to have iron anyway. So are we going to see much of those? I don't think so. People don't really go replaceable parts anyway. They're either going to go up to flight or down to tanks, so they're not going to be a good pre-build for anything. Okay, so looking at the unique replacements for this unit, we've got the Garde Imperiale, which is France's unique industrial era melee unit that replaces the line infantry, +10 combat strength when fighting on your capital's continent, and great general points for killing units. Obviously, this is a great unit when you're fighting on your own continent. It can make some sort of unstoppable pushes. The great general points is also nice. This does make a sort of argument to go for this tech and do a push, so it does add it is a good replacement for the unit. And likewise, we've got the English Redcoat, basically the opposite, +10 combat strength when fighting on a different continent with no disembark cost. Also a very good unit. Obviously, it's situational as well. You need to be fighting on a different continent to your capital. Again, it makes a good reason to go for this unit, although if you are simming, you probably want to just stick with top tree, going sort of industrialization and make use of your workshop of the world bonus as England. But yeah, these can make for a very fun and good push. And that's it for the new units. Let's move on. Okay, so Civ update, starting with the Aztecs unique building, which I'm not even going to try and pronounce. Gets added +2 culture. Is it enough to warrant sort of going for this building for no other reason? No, definitely not. I think this needs some extra buffs considering it's a unique replacement. I did suggest in the Better Balanced Game server maybe some amenities or culture when either at war or building units in that city kind of makes sense for Aztec. It's a nice little bonus if you're on the way to Colosseum though, or some era score. Colosseum being a very good wonder at the moment. Australia's coast is now a tier 2 start bias. I believe that's up from 3. Probably not going to change much. It's not the worst thing in the world when you spawn inland as Australia, because obviously you can get those sort of glorious geothermals next to mountains with insane appeal for really nice districts. Canada's the last best west. Increase the yields of mines and lumber mills on snow, tundra, snow hills, and tundra mines to +2 production. Increase the yields of camps on these terrains to +2 food, and farms provide +2 on these terrains. Now, the BBG did change this previously from vanilla, so the BBG gives +1 food to tundra farms. Snow and tundra lumber mills give an extra production. Mines in snow and tundra also give an extra production. Camps give +1 food, and strategics accumulate at 100% rate. This I think is a bit too much. +2 production is a bit too much, but the +2 food is probably too much as well. I think Canada is already very strong in the Better Balanced Game / multiplayer games, so I think this will get nerfed. China's Dynastic cycle. Now, when completing a wonder, receive a random Eureka and inspiration from the era of that wonder. Nice little change / buff to China there. It's not game breaking, but yeah, it's pretty nice. Nice little buff to China there. Okay, France's Chateau now gives +2 culture and +1 gold at base. 1 culture for each adjacent wonder, increasing to +2 for flight, and +2 gold for being on a river. Must be adjacent to a bonus or luxury resource and not adjacent to another chateau. Main issue here is the lack of food and production. They're only going to be really probably used if you've either got insane growth in your city and you don't mind sacrificing a bit of food and production to work some gold and culture. And obviously at flight, if you're trying to really push for that culture victory, it's going to help with the tourism. The BBG mod does change this quite a lot at the moment, but whether these changes will stick or not, we'll have to see. Okay, Georgia's Glory of the World, Kingdom of Faith, no longer receives +100% faith for 10 turns after declaring it a protectorate war. Instead, combat victories provide faith equal to 50% of the combat strength of the defeated unit. This is a BBG change, so there's no change here for people that play with Better Balanced Game mod. Germany, Rivers are now a tier 5 start bias. That's from no start bias at all. That just helps it with its hands and commercial sort of synchronization. Greece, Thermopylae added +1 combat strength for every military policy slotted. Now, when I first read this, I thought it just meant military cards. So if you were in something like Classical Republic, that's only +1. But it's actually for every combat strength slotted. So you could have 1 military card at the top, as usual, and then like 2 wildcard slots, both with military cards in them. And that would give you a total of +3. I like that buff. I think it makes more sense on Gorgo than Pericles. I think maybe they could have added something a bit different for Pericles and just kept that as Gorgo. But that's a nice little change, something new. Little bit of a buff that Greece did it need. Maybe Gorgo did a little bit, yeah, but not so much Pericles. I think Pericles is in a good position at the moment. Inca, this here added +1 additional production to mountains when the game reaches the industrial era. That's completely irrelevant, really. Inca Terrace Farm now gives +1 housing, down from +5. Sorry, 0.5. Problem for me with this is that it just adds to the sort of snowbally mountain star that Inca can get sometimes, and it can just make their growth just insane. And they now have a mountains tier 2 star bias, which is up from tier 3. Japan now has a tier 3 coastal bias, up from no bias. BBG or BBS, one of the two, gives Japan a tier 2 coast bias anyway. Okay, moving on to one of the big ones, which is Khmer. Grand Berets, cities with an aqueduct receive +1 amenity from entertainment and +1 faith for every population. Farms provide 2 food if adjacent to an aqueduct and 1 faith if adjacent to a holy site. Okay, I quite like this change. I quite like this change actually, especially the amenity. It gives you a reason to build aqueducts as well. It just sort of synchronizes with the sort of growth mechanics of Khmer, and the faith is an added bonus. Monasteries of the King, holy sites, are granted a major adjacency bonus with rivers, so that's +2. They culture bomb and food equal to its adjacency bonus and +2 housing on a river. It's a bit too much. I think the food could probably get taken away, or maybe the housing, or maybe even the major adjacency bonus, and just sort of let them go River Goddess, for example. Because if you go River Goddess and this, it's just pretty insane. So yeah, I think that might need a few changes or nerfs. And the unique building, the Prasat, which is a temple replacement, +6 faith, half a culture for every population, receive 10 tourism per turn in cities with 10 pop, and cities with 20 pop are granted double this number. You don't often see 20 pop cities in multiplayer, at least, but I do like that +10 tourism. That's quite a bit, especially if you can get to sort of 10 pop very, very quickly. It can get the ball rolling for a nice little culture victory. So yeah, I quite like those changes. I think the Monasteries of the King is a bit too strong, and that's probably going to get a nerf. Congo, relic artifacts and sculptures also give +1 faith. Removed great writers from his additional great people points. Don't know why these changes were added. They didn't need the faith buff, and they certainly didn't need a nerf either. So yeah, I'm not sure what the logic behind that is. Maybe some single player shenanigans. Korea, Three Kingdoms now receives +1 science for each adjacent mines now receive +1 science for each adjacent Say1 district. Farms receive +1 food. This is a BBG change again. This is exactly what the Better Balanced Game mod added to Korea. I don't even know what it does at vanilla, but that is a BBG change. Mapuche, quite a few changes here actually. Cities with an established governor provide 5% culture production and 10% combat experience toward all units trained in this city. These numbers are tripled in cities not founded by Mapuche. No, too much. All cities within 9 tiles of city with your governor gain +4 loyalty per turn towards your civilization. The loyalty thing is good and the combat experience thing is nice, but the 5% culture and production, especially tripled, is a bit too much really. Swift Hawk, +10 combat strength when fighting free cities or civilizations that are in a golden or heroic age. Defeating an enemy unit within borders of an enemy city causes the city to lose 20 loyalty and 40 loyalty. Wow, if this player is in a golden heroic age. I don't think the +40 loyalty is needed, and I certainly don't think 10 combat strength is needed either. That needs toning down to +5, definitely. Mapuche are already sort of annoying to be near anyway, that you don't need to add any more bonuses to that. Combat strength especially. And the Chimamul now gains +1 production, which is quite nice. They were just too sort of heavy on culture and lacking everything else really. You guys have to bear with me with these sort of bad transitions / non-existent transitions between the frames, because this is making my mouth so dry. Okay, Maya's farms now receive +1 production for every adjacent observatory. This is a nice little change actually. I quite like this. It doesn't sound like much, but when you're trying to put farms around observatories that don't have plantations around them for that science, this is a nice little bonus for that. Maya's not in the best position in the world at the moment, so it does kind of need that. Non-capital cities within 6 hexes now receive a free builder when the city is founded. Very nice. I like that change actually. Obviously, having a builder is super nice because You want to get those farms going or plantations upgraded as quick as possible while you build your university. Whether that stacks with Ancestral Hall or not would be interesting. I'm not sure actually. And their start bias has changed. Grass plains, grass hills, plains hills are now a tier 1. Tier 1, that's crazy. That's guaranteed start bias. Tier 2 consists of plantation, luxuries. Wow. Gypsum, ivory, jade, marble, mercury, and salt. Oh, sorry, this is a new sentence, isn't it? So yeah, tier 2 consists of plantation luxuries. So obviously they need that. And I think they're trying to say now that gypsum, ivory, jade, marble, mercury, and salt, as well as all other terrains, are now tier 3 to discourage coast spawns. I think they've worded that badly. Because obviously gypsum, ivory, jade, marble, and mercury are quarry, camp, mine, quarry, mine, and then mine again. So yeah, I don't know what they're trying to say with that bit, but yeah. The tier 2 plantation looks is nice. The grass and plains tier 1 is very nice as well. Obviously, like they say, to discourage being near the coast. If you spawn on the coast as Mai, you're kind of screwed because you're not going to be able to do that circle of cities around you because of the water. Mongolia, the Ordu now gives experience to siege units. Not really anything to talk about there. Radio Orange, domestic trade routes provide +2 loyalty up from 1, and trade routes now give +2 culture down from 1. That's also a BBG change. Nubia now 30% production towards range units, down from 50%. It's 25% in the BBG, so we're not going to see much change there. And the Nubian Pyramid's base values are increased to 2 faith and 2 food. The 2 food's nice actually. Again, it's only a minor change, so we don't really need to discuss that. Ottomans added +1 governor title. Sorry, I always say tile. When gunpowder technology is unlocked, that's a nice little buff. Niter is now a tier 5 starter bias. Obviously, you need them for the unique unit. Nothing really game changing in any of them. Persia's Paradisia's appeal bonus has been reduced to 1 from 2. Not quite sure what the logic behind that is. Persia can be a good good civ for getting culture victory, but obviously you need flight to make this this culture work from the Paradisia. Little nerf here to Poland. Taking territory from a foreign city with a culture bomb converts it to the majority religion. Was only the religion founded by Poland. It's a slight nerf, but nothing really game changing there. Russia's number of free tiles in new cities has been nerfed to +5 from 8. This is another change that we do in the mod. And we've got a big nerf here. Move the great writer points to the shrine, the artist points to the temple, and the musician points to tier 3 worship building. This is really going to kill off the sort of insane snowball that Russia gets towards culture victory. But it is going to make all the more reason to sort of build these these buildings in your Lavra. Scythian Kugan +1 faith, +3 gold, and 1 faith for every adjacent pasture, becoming 2 faith with stirrups. Provides tourism from faith after research in flight. Not many people really work these in the mod. They've got production in the mod as well, which is kind of handy. Obviously, food and production are the key resources in multiplayer Civ, so you wouldn't really be caught working these tiles unless you really needed the gold. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see more of those being built after this buff. Okay, we got another major one here, Spain. Treasure fleet may form fleets and armadas with mercantilism instead of nationalism and mobilization. Trade routes receive +3 gold, +2 faith, and 1 production. Trade routes between multiple continents receive triple these numbers. That's quite a lot, especially the +3 production. Pair that with something like internal Magnuses. Cities not on your original continent receive +25 production towards districts and a builder when founded. Okay, I like that change actually. I like the production towards districts and builders. Is it a bit too much? I don't think so. Maybe if it was buildings within those districts as well. That'd be too strong, but I like that. It ties in well with the trying to settle on multiple continents. But problem is, if you spawn on a huge continent, you kind of just without bonuses, really, aren't you? Inquisitors can remove heresy one extra time. Inquisitors eliminate 100% of the presence of other religions. Combat and religious units have a +5 combat strength against players following other religions. And all rule sets now feature the buffed Gathering Storm version of the mission, +2 faith, +2 faith additionally, +1 food and 1 production if on a different continent than your capital, +1 science for every adjacent campus and holy site, +2 once cultural heritage is discovered. Cultural heritage, and I think that's another mistake in the notes here. The loyalty bonus is still rise and fall and gathering storm only. Remove the coast start bias, and geothermal is now a tier 3 start bias. Interesting. It's not the worst thing in the world actually if you spawn inland on on Spain, because the problem with Spain is, in my opinion, it's doing too many things at once. It's got too many bonuses affecting too many districts. Obviously, the point in the district system is so you're not you're focusing on a few different things rather than trying to focus on everything at once. So Spain currently, or sorry, before this patch, you need an encampment for conquistadors to get a general. You need campuses and holy sites to make use of your missions and to have good sites for a conquistador push and to make missionaries to help your conquistadors. You need a harbour to make use of your fleet and armada bonus, and also to be able to make gold for upgrades later on in the game because you often spawned on the coast. And then the only district really you've got left is a theatre square and an industrial zone, and so you're going to be lacking on production and culture. Obviously, you probably need culture for the armadas, so it's there's too much going on in the Civ. So honestly, spawning inland is probably a blessing in disguise for this Civ. Samaria added +5 combat strength to units when they and their ally are at war with a common foe. This is basically a military alliance, which is quite nice. Vietnam, note as unique district, no longer provides a great general point. You know what? I would think I was wrong about this Civ. It's not doing great in multiplayer, to be honest. The crossbows had a bit of a nerf, but it doesn't really do particularly well. So I don't know if that nerf was really needed or not. Zulu's buildings in the Akanda, which is the unique encampment, receive 2 gold and +1 science. Nice little buff, gives it a bit of sim bonus, which is nice. Completely lacks. Just kind of makes sense as well because Zulu obviously wants to build as many encampments as possible. Moksha's base ability +2 faith for every speciality district in a city. Yeah, that's a nice little bonus. I was just trying to think what it does in vanilla, but I actually don't know. Unit balance updates. Swordsman combat strength decreased by 1. I suppose that sort of buffs swords. A horse push a little bit, which is quite nice. Because the problem is with the horse push at the moment is as soon as there's a couple of swords on the battlefield, it's kind of pushed over. Infantry has got a buff, which they did actually need because they're just in a really weird place on the tech tree that no one really wants to go to. So maybe we see more of those used in the future. Congo sword has been buffed slightly, which is quite nice. These are pretty, again, they're not really, you don't pick Congo for this, really. The ranged defense bonus is very nice, and they can be very tanky, but classical war isn't great at the moment. The Macedonian Hypaspist combat strength has been nerfed slightly. That just goes with the sword, I guess. Oh, sorry, it's increased a little bit. Just quite nice actually. Obviously the unique units you want to kind of use, they're quite fun to use. The Immortal has combat strength has been increased as well from 30 and 25 to 35 and 25. Don't think they needed that much of a buff. That's +5 is quite a lot. That's basically general. So I think that might get toned down a bit. Toa's combat strength has been increased by 2. It's a nice little buff. Might see more of those used. Again, though, it's classical war. It's not great. Berserker's combat strength has been increased by 8. Holy Jesus, that's a lot. Don't think it needed that much. Plus -5 combat strength when defending penalty now applies only to melee attacks. Okay, that's interesting. That nerfs ranged units a little bit, which I quite like. Kashfa's been buffed slightly. Again, just kind of makes sense with it being a unique unit. Conquistador has been buffed by 3. Again, it's not much, but Conquistadors, they are brutal units. They're very hard to defend against, so I'm not sure they were needed. And the Guard Imperial, Redcoat, and Diggers have also been buffed slightly. +5 for the Guard Imperial and the Redcoat, and +6 for the Digger. Don't really see many of these pushes because the game's kind of called around this position. So yeah, maybe we'll just see some unique units overall, more unique unit pushes overall in general, which I quite like. The machine guns have been buffed, which is quite nice. Catapults combat strength has been increased. Definitely wasn't needed. We're probably going to see that nerfed in the mod. Multiplayer at the moment pushes are all about sort of bombard or artillery pushes, so we definitely don't need to see any of these buffs really to siege units. Okay, looks like anti-cav and light cav have also had a lot of buffs. We've got +4, +4, +5, +5, and +3. Definitely need to see these. I think not really used at all, and heavy cav pushes are just too strong. Light cavs have also received a very slight buff. Looks like +2 on most of them, which is it's a nice little bonus, I suppose. Again, you don't really see many light cav pushes. It's all about the sort of bombard, or sorry, siege, heavy cav pushes lately. Rough Rider Teddy's Rough Rider replacement replaces the cuirassier, upgrades the tank, was modern armor, prerequisite tech is now ballistics, was rifling. So we've got a nice little Teddy buff there actually. I might have to have a play with that because I haven't played America for quite a while. Oh, okay, so we just spoke about these buffs, but also heavy cav have also been buffed. Not really sure why. I don't think heavy cav needed a buff. They're way too strong at the moment, like I mentioned. It's all about the cuirassier pushes. It's all about the tank pushes. So these definitely didn't need a buff. And wow, the Winged Hussar upgrade is... Jesus, that is way too strong. That's probably going to get a nerf. Range cav, Keshigs have been buffed by quite a lot actually. Definitely wasn't needed either. Sack of Horse Archers have had a melee combat strength buff and now upgrades to crossbows. Also don't think was needed. And Crouching Tigers are a little bit cheaper. Destroyers have had a bit of a buff. That's not really going to get changed. Missile Cruisers, not really relevant. It's too late on in the game. It's going to be nice for nuke wars, I guess. The Sea Dog has been slightly buffed, which is quite nice. You don't often see these used, and U-boats no longer require oil. Warrior Monks have had a buff as well, which is nice. And I think that's pretty much it for the major changes. Allied civs will no longer be shown as espionage destination. This is just a sort of visual upgrade. You can do it anyway. And idle governors now must be addressed before ending turn. And yeah, just a lot of really minor changes that I don't really think we need to talk about. And the video is getting quite long anyway, so yeah, this is all just single player stuff as well, so I'm not going to go through any of these actually. Barbarian clans has had quite a few changes. AI crashes, hopefully these are multiplayer crashes as well. So yeah, that's it guys. Final patch for Civ 6, major patch at least. So yeah, let's get this video has been going on for quite a while now, so I'm just going to end it. Yeah, come watch me on Twitch, subscribe to my YouTube, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.